Everyone loves the Route 1 normal type, whether you use them as a reliable part of your playthrough team and as a friend, or if you use them as intended for learning every mandatory HM and randomly picking up items for you. These things are like owning a cat if the cat was also a city bike. My cat just meowed at me. I'm sorry you're not a city bike, Ronnie. But getting around the region isn't the only thing that some of these guys are good for. As a matter of fact, a decent chunk of the Route 1 normal types are also solid competitive Pokemon. But obviously not all of them. The gap in power between the best and the worst of them is actually pretty shocking. As someone who's played competitive Pokemon for the entirety of his adult life, I feel it's my job to explain niche little fun facts and competitive viability of Pokemon to the masses, and to my Tinder dates to their despair. And come on, this video concept has to bang. Right, YouTube? Right? Please? Whatever. Let's rank the Route 1 normal types based on how strong they actually are. If you enjoyed this video at any point in time, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. As a matter of fact, you should really just subscribe right now because of a playlist full of competitive Pokemon content just like this that you can watch once this video ends. And if you think you're subscribed, do me a favor and double check because a lot of my viewers actually aren't. With that, let's get into the video, but not before the Gamer Subs ad. This channel is partnered with Gamersubs. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order Gamersubs through my link in the description down below or with code Moxie boosted at checkout for 10% off. Gamersubs is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18+ viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. We'll be doing this in a tier list format because YouTube really likes that, and I assume you guys really like that too. I don't know. While we are ranking the final evolution of each of these lines from a competitive perspective, I think it's a good idea to use their first stage to represent the whole line, for marketing purposes of course. Be so for with me. You all love Zigzagoon, but Linoone is kind of whatever compared to this little garbage dog, right? Qualifiers to be on this list are very simple. These Pokemon are the ones that you find very early on your journey, like the very first route, and of course they're all going to be normal types, but not flying types, because I feel that the early route birds are their own deal. So no Poochyena and no Starly on this list. With those qualifiers, we'll be taking a look at the following evolutionary lines of Pokemon: Rattata, Sentret, Zigzagoon, Bidoof, Patrat, Bunnelby, Yungoos, Alolan Raticate, Squelvet, Galarian Zigzagoon, and Lechonk. I'm typically a VGC player, but rather than just looking at VGC viability for this video, we'll be taking a look at the Pokemon all around, acknowledging where they excel and where they're lacking. Oh, and keep in mind we're ranking these Pokemon in comparison to each other, so an S-tier normal rodent isn't going to be an S-tier Pokemon broadly. With that, let's begin with the Rattata line. Raticate, despite being a Gen 1 Pokemon, is ultimately not that bad when you put it next to all the other early route Pokemon. And with a base stat total of 413, the stats had to go in exactly the right places to make sure this Pokemon wasn't 100% unusable. With 55 HP, 81 attack, 60 defense, 50 special attack, 70 special defense, and 97 speed, there's clearly one stat that's doing the heavy lifting here. 97 speed is actually a fairly acceptable speed tier. While it's not quite as fast as Pokemon like Chi-Yu, this stat does allow for Raticate to outspeed other important threats like Landorus Therian and Tapu Lele, actually allowing it to put its fairly mediocre attack stat to use rather than being a Pokemon that can't even get an attack off in the first place. But in all honesty, what's really doing the heavy lifting here is its ability Guts. Guts simply gives the user a 50% boost to their attack stat as long as they're statused. By combining this with the move Facade, a 70 base power normal move which doubles in power when statused, Raticate can actually hit fairly hard for having just 81 attack. In fact, Guts boosted Facade from Jolly Raticate has a slight chance to one-shot Landorus Therian, which is pretty respectable in my opinion. It's even got a solid priority move in Guts boosted Quick Attack, which hits fairly hard after the boost. It's even got solid coverage options in Stomping Tantrum, Wild Charge, and Zen Headbutt, and it can pivot around with U-turn. Its major drawback is the fact that it's just not bulky enough to tank a hit, and despite its okay damage, it's not quite hitting hard enough these days. Raticate, despite its age, is actually a really solid Route 1 Pokemon competitively and lands dead center in this list at C tier. Sentret has always been a design that has underwhelmed me. But Furret? Oh yeah, that guy, I could watch him walk in a treadmill for hours a day. Someone should make a gif of that. As cute as they are, they're definitely lacking a niche in the competitive front. At least until the most recent generation of Pokemon, where they were gifted the move Tidy Up. This move is not only a Dragon Dance clone, giving the user +1 attack and +1 speed, but it also clears hazards from the field, meaning it's a solid utility move in almost any singles match. And given Furret has a base stat total of 415, with 85 HP, 76 attack, 64 defense, 40 special attack, 55 special defense and 90 speed, it really needed the buff. Don't get me wrong, Sentret still doesn't hit quite as hard as Guts Raticate even after the Tidy Up boost, but it at least hits harder than usual after removing those hazards from the field. In doubles, it also gets access to a really sought after support move in Follow Me, allowing for it to redirect all attacks into itself for a partner Pokemon, and it even has access to Knockoff, allowing it to remove the opponent's items, even if it's not dealing that much damage when it uses the move. Yes, Furret has a lot of utility at its disposal, but it's rare that you'd see anyone go for it over any other Pokemon when there are so many better support options. Furret fails to hit hard, outspeed anything, and holds a single niche in hazard removal, so it's going to be resting down in D tier for now. Alright dorks, there's favoritism in this video, get over it. Zigzagoon is one of the greatest things my eyes have ever had the privilege of seeing. Every morning I wake up and I'm thankful for living in a world where Zigzagoon was created, but spiteful for not living in a world where he's real. Linoone on the other hand is just fine. I liked him better when he was spiky, but regardless, Linoone is pretty good. Why is that? Let me explain. Does this dude have a base stat total of 420? Yes, but it's also got the deadly combination of Belly Drum, the ability Gluttony, and the move Extreme Speed. No need to invest in speed, just bulk this dude out with enough health to go for Belly Drum, give it a Figgy Berry, and then click Extreme Speed 6 times. Will this strategy always work? No, not even close. But it's a niche that no other Pokemon can boast. Back when it got access to the newly buffed Figgy Berry in Gen 7, there was legitimately a moment in time where people considered running this dude. It's ultimately a gimmick, but it's still quite strong. It's got everything it needs with Shadow Claw, Play Rough, Throat Chop, Stomping Tantrum, Seed Bomb, and even Gunk Shot. Obviously, you'll only really get to run 1 or 2 of these moves alongside your Belly Drum Extreme Speed strategy, but dang does it feel good to use this Pokemon sometimes. Top of B tier he goes. Okay, Bidoof. One of the most iconic Pokemon of all time, if you started with the Nintendo DS era of games or run an obnoxious Twitter account known for reposting the same jokes ad nauseum. Bibarel, on the other hand, hardly gets the attention it deserves. Well, actually, maybe it gets the exact amount of attention it needs. While Bibarel is most known for being an HM friend who will tax you all over the Sinnoh region, it's actually pretty mediocre competitively. With a base stat total of just 410, it's got 79 HP, 85 attack, 60 defense, 55 special attack, 60 special defense, and 71 speed. While it is the first Pokemon on this list to be a dual type by being both normal and water, this isn't really enough to make it stand out. That being said, it does have a decent ability in Simple. This causes all stat changes that occur to Bibarel to be doubled. So let's say Bibarel goes for Curse. Instead of getting +1 attack, +1 defense, and -1 speed, it gets +2 attack, +2 defense, and -2 speed. Or if it goes for Swords Dance, instead of getting +2 attack, it'll get +4 attack. Very simple math. While it's easy to get set up with this Pokemon, you do need to keep in mind that it's also very easy to have it get shut down by Intimidate, since that's also going to be doubled to -2 attack. But let's say the opponent doesn't have that option. Well, now you're staring down a feral beaver who managed to triple its attack stat in a single turn and can now spam Aqua Jets. But coming off a base 85 attack, it's not really going to be quite as strong as it needs to be to accomplish anything, so it remains pretty mediocre in the end. We'll place Bibarel just above Raticate on the tier list, sheerly because of its ability to spiral out of control in a match if remained unchecked. Okay, I'm sure there's someone out there that really likes Patrat and Watchog, like it's Pokemon. There's someone out there who really likes them, like to a concerning degree. But be so for real with me. Do you personally know someone who actually likes these two? Because I don't. And no one at Game Freak does apparently, because at 420 base stat total with 60 HP, 85 attack, 69 defense, 60 special attack, 69 special defense, and 77 speed, Watchog fails to accomplish anything in a match. Like, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, but Watchog doesn't have an ability. Other Route 1 Pokemon are carried by their ability to make them stand out, but Watchog just straight up doesn't have one. Illuminate literally does nothing in a match, Keen-Eye basically never matters in a match, and Analytic, the only ability worth running on this guy, is rarely gonna matter at 77 speed. Analytic gives the user's move a 1.3 times boost in power if they move last. But the issue is, there's plenty of Pokemon slower than 77 speed, and if the opposing Pokemon outspeeds Watchog, meaning that Watchog will go last, Watchog's not gonna survive the turn. Pack it up, this dude is F tier. Okay, spoilers, this dude's S tier. Bunnelby and Diggersby are in a whole different league than anything else on this list so far. For reference, Adamant Bunnelby hits nearly as hard as Jolly Guts Raticate. Why is that? Very simple. Bunnelby and Diggersby have the ability Huge Power. You know, that ability that everyone in Create a Pokemon wants to give to every Pokemon ever, because they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna double the attack stat, it'll be good. Shut up. This ability doubles the user's attack stat. No, this doesn't double the base 56 attack stat that Diggersby is rocking, it doubles the actual stat after everything has been invested. That means after EVs and after the nature. So when all is said and done, Adamant Diggersby at level 100 has an attack stat of 464, which is slightly more than Regigigas, meaning that this random bunny that you found outside your house eating your mom's flower garden is able to hit harder than a titan created by God himself. While it's true that Diggersby doesn't have access to super powerful normal attacks like Double Edge, moves like Body Slam and Quick Attack are able to deal solid damage, while Earthquake chunks everything else for almost all of its health. Oh, and it has access to Swords Dance, so you know. It even has access to great coverage options in the Elemental Punches and Gunk Shot, meaning that nothing is really ever a safe switch in on it, especially if it's running a Choice Band. Hey, its bulk isn't even that bad with 85 HP and 77 in both defenses, so it's not really hard to get it to live a hit. This dude is a menace. It's no wonder it was UUBL in Gen 6. So go into S tier, my little poop bunny. Alright, so Gen 7 is kind of unique in the fact that it technically has two Pokemon which qualify for this list in Yungoos and Alolan Raticate. Beginning with Yungoos and Gumshoos, we have a fairly strong Pokemon here. Gumshoos has the highest base attack stat of any Pokemon we've covered so far, with just 418 base stat total. Putting 110 of those points into its attack stat was a pretty good idea. That being said, the rest of its stats are pretty lacking, especially its abysmal 45 base speed. But Alola isn't really known for its speed tier, so. Despite this, Gumshoos has three very solid abilities carrying its viability. Strong Jaw allows for Gumshoos to use its coverage options in Ice Fang, Fire Fang, Thunder Fang, Psychic Fangs, and Crunch to their greatest potential. And hey, it even boosts Hyper Fang to an impressive 120 base power before stab. Its ability Stakeout causes Gumshoos to deal double damage to any Pokemon which switches into battle on that turn, allowing for Choice Band sets to have literally no switch-ins, but being so for real, who would switch out in fear of Gumshoos? And finally, Adaptability grants Gumshoos a 2x boost in power to its stab moves rather than 1.5, making its Double Edge a very devastating attack. While it does have great damage options, its other stats lacking the way that they do make it fairly difficult to use. But it's still a solid option out of all the Route 1 Pokemon, so it's going to be going into B tier, just below Zigzagoon. Alolan Raticate, aka Biggie Cheese, is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. He's just got that aura to him. He's a big chunky guy and a partial dark type, which instantly makes this Pokemon not that bad. Where Cantonian Raticate was faster and had a higher attack stat, Alolan Raticate focuses more on bulk. And by bulk, I mean 75 HP, 70 defense, and 80 special defense, so he's not really that bulky. But it is bulkier than Cantonian Raticate, so that's something. While Raticate does now have that Psychic immunity and Stab on knockoff, its low bulk causes it to not get much value out of its abilities Gluttony and Thick Fat. Hustle still lets it hit hard, but not nearly as hard as it needs to, and it does have that drawback in accuracy. Unfortunately, the best designed Pokemon on this list has to go into D tier because of this. From one big boy to another, we move on to the Peter Griffin of competitive Pokemon, Greedent. At 460 BST, this dude is already stat-mogging the rest of the list, being possibly the most absurd jump in sheer numbers we've had so far. With 120 HP, 95 attack, 95 defense, 55 special attack, 75 special defense, and just 20 speed, this dude is basically a mini Snorlax. Hey, it even underspeeds Snorlax and has better physical bulk, so it literally wins the 1v1 Trick Room mirror. Greedent has a few viable options, from Gluttony Ganlonberry body press sets in singles to Cheek Pouch Belly Drum sweepers in doubles. Greedent has one of the easiest times of any Pokemon on this list just getting its job done game to game. On those Belly Drum sets, Greedent is able to use Belly Drum to get down to 50% HP, max out its attack stat, and heal back up to 100% health due to Cheek Pouch, which grants it an additional 33% healing on top of its Citrus Berry, meaning it's good to go for the long haul, something that not even Snorlax is able to do ever since the Generation 8 nerf to the Figgy Berry. Also, when Greedent faints, he drops berries out of his tail, and I think that's really cute. Bro's A tier. He's just got the stats to do everything he needs to do. He's just that guy. Remember when I said Greedent was stat mogging the rest of this list like not even a minute ago? Well, Obstagoon just blows this dude out of the water instantly. Not only did Gen 8 grant Zigzagoon a Galarian form which gave it the Dark type, but it even gave it a 3rd stage evolution, making it the only 3-stage Pokemon on this list. While Obstagoon loses Belly Drum and Extreme Speed from its Hoenn counterpart, it makes up for it with a great 520 base stat total, Stab on knockoff, and a new signature move in Obstruct, which protects it while lowering the defense stat of any Pokemon who attacks into it. It even has 3 great abilities in Reckless to boost the power of Double Edge, Guts to use Flame Orb Facade combos, and even Defiant to have its attack increase if the opponent tries to decrease any of its stats. Among Route 1 Pokemon, this dude might just be the GOAT. Unfortunately, it does have a few major drawbacks. Dark and Normal is pretty bad defensively in a game where fighting coverage is basically essential, and while it does have great damage output with Guts Facade, it just falls short of picking up most important KOs. Still though, it's head and shoulders above the rest of the competition, landing it in what I'm gonna call a tie with Diggersby in S tier. Finally, we have Paldea's Lechonk line, which splits into 2 evolutions based on Lechonk's gender, Oinkologne male and Oinkologne female. Truth be told, the difference between them is kind of negligible. They both have a base stat total of 489, with the male Oinkologne hitting a little harder and the female Oinkologne being a little more defensive. Oinkologne male has a clone of the ability Mummy called Lingering Aroma, which just spreads the ability to any Pokemon which makes contact with it, allowing for it to nullify other abilities like Guts or Intimidate or whatever. And the female version of it has Aroma Veil, which prevents Attract, Encore, Disable, and Taunt on itself and its partners in a battle. Both of these have their small niches, but most of the time they're going to be running the ability Gluttony instead. They're usually going to be running Body Press defensive sets and have access to the move Yawn to put things to sleep, but they're really nothing to write home about and struggle to find their place on any team in any format. They both go into C tier, just above Raticate where they can kiss. With that, we have the following tier list. In F tier, we have the Patrat line. In D tier, we have the Sentret and Alolan Raticate lines. C tier has the Bidoof, Oinkologne, and Cantonium Raticate lines. B tier houses the Zigzagoon and Yungoos lines. A tier has only the Squovit line. And S tier, we have both the Bunnelby line and the Galarian Zigzagoon line, which are far stronger than any other Pokemon on this list, proving that my favoritism ends where Game Freak's power creep begins. But what do you think about my rankings? Did I overlook anything huge that you think would change them? Let me know in the comment section below. And what Pokemon should I rank next? I got a few categories in mind. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It'd mean the world to me. If you want to support me further, you can check out my Patreon page or become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button below the video. This gets you sneak peeks at future videos and even some bonus content. You also see your name at the end of my videos like all these lovely people. Special thanks to my most boosted supporters, Ant Media UK, Avatar67, and Kayla Thompson for their generous pledges. Another way to support me is to check out all the videos in the playlist on screen right now. I know you'll find something in there that you'll enjoy. I also have a second channel where I talk about the current VGC metagame trends and a Twitch channel where I stream, both of which are in the description. Or you can tune into my YouTube streams Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. CST. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.